aggressive version and 2 Wingmate Rocks. You'll find some removal spells here, I was on Charm, Hero's Downfall, a couple Thoughtseizes, a couple and Hostilities. Not going to be great in this matchup. 2 Sorens, 2 Elspeths, a main deck Whip. Whip is growing in popularity as well, and then 25 lands. So
very odd to see Anafenza alongside no other 2-drops that can attack. Usually that's a pair. Because you want to play your 2-drop on 2, your Anafenza on 3, and be good to go on 4.
Should be fun to watch here. It looks like Eric Froelich has some strong thoughts about New Jersey and Ohio. Twitter, he says, I appear to be watching Cedric Phillips and Patrick Sullivan debate which of the 2 worst states are the best in the union. Where's Eric from? Maryland?
Virginia.
Oh, Virginia. Well, I can't really say what I want to say about that on air. It's not great.
I like Virginia fine.
It's no Jersey. It's no Ohio. Everything else is tied for 3rd.
Right.
Or as I like to call it, last.
I hope that Eric is not talking about the decadent, debauched hellhole that is Las Vegas as being a preferred place to live.
Well, I hope not.
If we're talking about Virginia, we can have the conversation.
Looks like Jordon is going to be taking a mulligan here.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. I like Vegas just fine, but for only 24 hours at a stretch. Otherwise, I start questioning my faith in humanity. Because you just see things you can't unsee, you know? I mean, I guess you can just go to shows and stuff, but why even bother at that point, you know?
You can do that anywhere.
Exactly. You go to Vegas to do the things you can't do anywhere else. That's the,
it's part of the charm of the city.
That's why it exists.
Let's see what 6 cards Jordon can pick up. If he's going to keep, first of all, as Harry's already kept his hand. We're underway. A 4-start round number 6. Corvese will draw a card. Harry, known for the Sphinx's Revelation strategy, or he loves a good blue card.
He does. This is maybe the best way for him to get the control deck feeling in the format right now. Every deck, or nearly every deck, I guess, except for blue-black control and blue-white control, playing a lot to the board. So no Supreme Verdict and Sphinx's Revelation, but this may be kind of the control deck of the format, or one of the control decks of the format.
So we carry at it, providing the mana acceleration here for Veliz, as Corvese will untap and draw a card. Second land is a Battlefield Forge, and back to Veliz we will go. So Jordon will draw a card.
Curious to see how this matchup is going to play out, because Jordon has a lot of creature removal in his deck that really isn't that applicable, but a lot of Harry's board control elements aren't really that good here, because Jordon can play this kind of 2-for-1 game with a lot of his threats and planeswalkers.
Temple of Silence going to come in, trigger the Courser, a little scry action here. Hero's Downfall is the top card. We will see where that goes, if it will stay or if it will go. Looks like it's going to stay. Corvese will draw a card. And this is the red-white control deck that didn't really actually pick up very much after the Open Series in New Jersey in week 1.
It's an unorthodox deck, to be sure. We haven't really seen anything like this you have to go back to, I think, Astral Slide Lightning Rift decks to see red-white board control decks. So that's part of it, but I do think the deck is legitimate. There's enough decks that are just all creatures playing to the board that a couple of robust threats and a lot of removal spells is a viable option.
Banishing Light is here. That will take care of the Courser. Hero's Downfall, the draw, of course. He's just going to be casting a spell. The question is what? It's a copy of Sorin, Solemn Visitor. That's going to come in. Elevator going to go down. A Vampire token will be coming in. And that'll be Jordon's turn, unless he does have a land to play.
I think this is problematic for Harry in the matchup, the fact that so many of Jordon's cards require 2 cards to answer. You know, Harry has to answer the Vampire and the Sorin. Now, that might not be so hard, but every single time there's an exchange like that, eventually he runs out of stuff. And in the meantime, it's hard for him to get his own aggression going, because Jordon has cards like his own Banishing Lights and Hero's Downfalls to break up the Planeswalkers or Vermazes that Harry's able to sneak through. No, cast a Courser, get a land. All right, answer with Banishing Light. Sorin, make a token. Okay, answer both your cards again.
Eventually you run out of resources.
Just run out of stuff.
Here's 4 mana. Looks like Corvese is going to have to take 1. It's a Chandra. That can make up the cards. We're going to go 1 and 1 over to the Planeswalker. So Soren's going to go down to 1. The Vampire will take 1, which doesn't matter, of course, and we will go back Jordan's way. He saw his land that he played was a copy of Windswept Heath. He will draw a card. Looks like it's a copy of Anafenza. So Anafenza and Obzo Charm and a Forest over there in the grip for Veliz, and we'll see how he wants to move forward here. I think an easy place to start is tick this up, which is what he will do. So that Vampire can attack for 3 right now. And it looks like it might be more than that. Obzo Charm. Gonna give this +2/+2 permanently. And it looks like Chandra's gonna bite the dust.
Yep, 2+2+1 is 5.
Yeah. So Obzo Charm, all 3 modes great on this card.
Although against Harry's deck, I would like to sign in blood with it as much as possible because I think this is a matchup where Jordan's strategy needs to be running him out of cards. With that said, that's a fine exchange too, because even if Harry has an answer for the token, well, you got the Chandra off the table and Soren is still around.
Corvese draws a card for the turn. One thing you will notice as here is Bramaz is that he is having some minor mana issues, I would say, simply because he doesn't have the 3rd red mana yet for Fated Conflagration. And that's important for this deck.
Listen, man, you got 4 lands in play. You got 2 planes in your Fated Conflagration deck to begin with. You can't call that mana trouble. I know he can't cast the spell in this hand necessarily, but that doesn't count.
Windswept Heath gonna search up a plains here.
If we start using the term mana trouble for being on Temple, Battlefield Forge, plains on in your red-white deck on the 4th turn of the game, then the word really starts losing all meaning.
I'm just using it liberally this afternoon.
Yeah. He does not have the ideal mana in play, that's true.
And Hostility's the draw. And we know Jordan has a Hero's Downfall already. Harry knows that as well. So you have to imagine that the King of Rescos isn't long for this world. Life total's in favor of Veliz as well. So even though he took a mulligan, he's still doing just fine.
And part of that is just his ability to attrition out Harry's removal spells. And this is shaping out to be another very good turn for Jordan.
And Anafenza. Taking it up. We're coming across. Going to gain some more life. Is this another attack for 5?
And now Jordan's setting the stage for next turn to be able to say, all right, make another token. Still a counter left on my Soren. Keep answering all this stuff.
Corvese going to draw a card here. Didn't get a great look at it.
It's a slow peel.
The best kind.
I also think he has Chain to the Rocks in his hand with no mountains in play.
A touch awkward. There's a Windscarred Crag. There are 10 mountains in the deck. Though there is a world where this sort of thing can happen. We're currently living in it.
Absolutely. Chain of the Rocks is a really powerful removal spell. Comes with a lot of inconsistencies. You don't have Sacred Foundry anymore.
There's Bramaz. I'm just going to pass the turn back to Corvese. Veliz is going to untap. It's time to draw a card. Didn't get a great look at it. We know about that. Hostilities, that's over there. That's in reserve in case anything goes wrong.
I believe just a land here for Jordan.
That's kind of boring. But his board's pretty good.
It's got a lot going on.
That Vampire token can actually just kind of take things home here. Or maybe the combination of the two, assuming that one is coming again this turn. We'll see how he wants to use Soren. He's reaching for the die on the Planeswalker.
Appears as though he's going up again.
Yeah. So everyone gets a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger. We do have lifelink attack here, trigger Anafenza. Put a counter there. So now that Vampire is a 6-power attacker. Anafenza sideways here as well. Corvese is going to attempt to block, trigger, get the cat token, hope to take care of the con of the Obzon.
Harry's just got to make a move here and try to make a block because he's taking way too much damage otherwise.
Absolutely.
So there's some risk here, but I think it's a good risk from Harry's side.
Now, Anafenza is a 5-power creature here, so he does have to distribute damage as necessary, and so there goes those. Anafenza will bite the dust here. Veliz will gain a bunch of life out of the exchange, in addition to the Vampire that just dealt 6 points of damage to Corvese.
And let's not forget that Jordon's gaining a lot of life here. Even if Harry is able to stabilize this game and then start turning it around, there's going to be Siege Rhinos in Jordon's deck and, you know, Whip of Erebos, random ways to pick up extra points of damage. So it's not just about can Harry not die, it's can he then overcome Jordon's life total before Jordon draws the necessary tools to power through.
Not to mention then hostilities that's in his hand too.
Yes.
Break in case of emergency. Corvese finally does draw a mountain. It is absolutely hideous. But he has drawn one. You cannot approve of that mountain.
Yeah, that's, I think, 4th edition.
Yeah, you can. I will not let you approve. Here comes the Stormbreath Dragon. Take care of Sorin. Or at least attempt to. And it will get the job done. And now the rocks. Taking care of this. And now we're turning the corner a little bit. He's coming back into this game.
It's Harry's first good turn of the game so far. Got the board clean.
Over to Veliz we go. Course of Krufix the draw. See if he wants to cast that or end hostilities this turn.
I don't mind the Courser here because I feel like Harry has to answer it given the huge discrepancy in life totals. If this was a normal game and both players are on 20, I'd say, yeah, go ahead and cast your end hostilities. But Jordon is way ahead of the damage race, even if it's just his Courser against the Stormbreath Dragon on Harry's side.
He's at 40. Even has a land in hand, too, a copy of Sandstep Citadel. So you can go to 41.
Yeah.
And he's definitely thinking about it. Gonna play the Citadel. Looks like he might be cashing in.
Well, if he's playing the land first, I assume this means he's going to go ahead and cast the end hostilities.
Yep. So that'll take care of the Caryatid and the Stormbreath Dragon. Board is clear. Things are stable. You see the life totals 40-9 in favor of Veliz as Corvese will draw a card. That is a Stormbreath Dragon. This is an attack. And I think that, you know, the situation kind of looks bad now of cashing in hostilities to take care of the one dragon when he could have probably caught 2. But I also agree with you where I think there's a world where he can just play course for the previous turn. He's at 40. And Harry probably wants to, you know, try to close the game out as quickly as he can. You can actually snag 2 dragons then.
Yes. But you also don't know how many creatures are in Harry's deck also.
This is true.
I like leaving Siege Rhino on top here.
That's probably better than a random draw.
Yeah.
There's a Siege Rhino. There's a Hero's Downfall. Well, how about that?
A slight misstep here from Jordon here, as I think that there's some chance that Harry tries to go monstrous this turn, and it's his whole turn.
Yep. I don't feel like there's much of a benefit to upkeeping it.
Exactly.
Corvese going to tap a bunch of mana here, it looks like. Just deciding what to tap. Here's 3 and maybe 4. He's doing a little dance. Chandra. Press the 0 button. Oh no. That is what we like to call a whammy in the business.
Would have been a nice draw.
Yeah, no kidding. This is where you take a moment, let it sink in. I've been here.
Oh, Harry's expressions when he feels like he's catching the bad end of things are great.
Yeah. Let it sink in.
One of the subtle joys of the Open Series is the Harry Corvese bad beats.
Well, one of them caused me to do a cartwheel, so there is that. Here's a Battlefield Fortune passing the turn back. Siege Rhino's in the grip. Top card is an Elspeth. Well, the tides have turned on this game. Looks like Corvese is going to go down to 7, and Rhino's going to put him down to 4. Well, he's going to gain a little bit of life, and he's got one heck of a card coming next turn. Corvese will draw. Chances are it's probably not an Elspeth.
Well, the chances have certainly gone down.
Yeah. Don't have a great look at Corvese's hand. He's probably trying to figure out what's the best way to maximize the Planeswalker. It's going to go up to 5.
Imagine if he's plussing that he has his mana accounted for this turn.
That's what it seems to be. There's a Chain of the Rocks. I actually think he might have an Elspeth in his hand.
Okay.
Isn't that ironic? He has 4 copies of it in his deck, to be fair. I mean, that's the win condition for this deck. We know that. Yeah, and there is a Sun Champion. Alrighty then. And he's actually winning the Sun Champion's race as far as getting to the ultimate is concerned.
Though, getting to the ultimate, it'll be good because he can attack Jordan's Elspeth down, but it's not just as simple as getting to the ultimate because, again, look at those life totals.
Yeah. Veliz is going to draw his Elspeth. Top cards, copy of Sand Step Citadel. That's coming in. Veliz is going to go back to 40, while Corvese is at a very low 4. A Wingmate Rock. A perfect foil to Elspeth. It's the top card of Veliz's deck. Jordon will play his Elspeth. He'll, of course, take his up. 3 soldier tokens coming for him as well. And you have to imagine that will be his turn.
Well, I think it's worth sitting in an attack with the Courser.
Just to take care of 1 soldier?
No reason not to. I mean, you know, Harry just pluses next turn and doesn't attack otherwise. Harry also has the option of plussing the Chandra and making the Courser unable to block in case that comes up. So attacking seems like a freebie to me. Not much to be done by blocking, and you kill a token.
Corvese will untap and draw a card here. It's time to get ready to get to work with these Planeswalkers. One could argue these are the best 2 cards in his deck. And we'll see if he can kind of overcome things here as he is attacking with 3 soldier tokens now. There are some blocks.
I mean, in this matchup, it has to be all about Harry's Planeswalkers on his side of the table because his creatures don't amount to much. There's too much removal in Jordan's deck.
Elspeth's going to tick up.
And his random pieces of spot removal are also not worth very much.
We'll press the 0 button on Chandra. Well, we are 0 for 2.
Run it back.
Yeah, I suppose. I don't hate it.
You know what? You just run it back.
Yep, replacement. I think that Chandra should have a clause where if you reveal a Chandra, you just get to play the other one for free.
Well, I don't know if you have seen this about Chandra, but the text box is already a little tight.
Oh, it's crowded. It's crowded.
We're already in 7-point font territory as it stands,
that's
so
true.
I don't know if you can really fit that in.
We're going to plus that, take care of the token, deal 1 to Elspeth. It's gone back down to 4. So it's going to do this little dance between 4 and 5 for a little bit, I imagine, as Wingmate Rock is the draw. Sandstep Citadel is on top for the Courser of Crewfix. That's going to come into play. That's the easy step. Up to 41 goes Veliz, and we'll see what his top card is here in just a moment. That is another copy of Anafenza.
It's been also, you know, if you're a fan of the Harry getting annoyed aspect of the game, it's really nice that Jordon has gotten a land with the Courser and then revealed a productive spell.
Sure.
That's been great. A couple turns in a row now.
Are you a fan of the Harry getting annoyed game?
I can't even put into words how much. Because it's not even like these are particularly bad beats. It's just, you know, you're getting rocked the whole game. You're starting to stabilize. There's a huge gap in the life totals, but it looks like you're making progress. And then slowly but surely, just, you know, this Wingmate Rock, ugh, that's a thing I got to answer now.
And now the raid's turned on by it, of course.
I can't really take a point of damage at this point because then Siege Rhino kills me. You know, it's really a lot to like.
Veliz going to go reaching. It's time for the Wingmate Rock. Raid has been satisfied, so 2, 3, 4s are going to show up to the party. One, of course, the Rock itself. And then I imagine we'll have a token so long as Jordon does remember his trigger, and there that is. Also going to take Elspeth up, so now 3 more soldiers. All things that Corvese is going to have to overcome here.
I really like what I've seen from Jordon so far. He's, I would imagine, playing on camera for the first time, or at least this is one of his first big matches. And you can tell he's taking his time. He's being very conscientious about the way he's announcing things. You can tell he's pointing at various lands, saying that I'm tapping this for various mana.
But you got to be comfortable in the feature match area.
You know.
You got to just look at it as another match, which is hard to do, of course, but
a lot of people psych themselves out when don't have to do that.
The Chandra button reveals a mountain.
Ooh, pretty lucky. You got something you can put into play.
I guess that's true.
Prefer to have it 0 than to draw it next turn, you know?
I'm sure Harry's thinking how lucky.
Yeah. Well, he should be.
He's organizing some mana here. What do we got going on? Oh, Sarkin.
Okay.
Fire away. Bye-bye Wingmate Rock. Up goes Elspeth. And the fact that these tokens will fly soon is actually very important, given that Harry is having some real problems with flyers.
For sure. Plus, it makes sure that no matter how clawed the board gets, Jordon has the ability to get, or Harry rather has the ability to get Jordan's Elspeth off the table.
And Hostility is a top card now, as Veliz did draw a copy of Anafenza, the foremost.
Although now, from Harry's side of the table, this makes an emblem with Elspeth attack you much more complicated.
Yes. And the entire time, Harry is hoping that no Siege Rhinos on top of the deck. He's at 4 right now. He could get a little bit lower here.
And I think Jordon needs to knock Harry down into range where Siege Rhino can kill him.
That's what I want to do too. I think, it's very interesting in the situation where you could kill Sarkin, you could knock down Elspeth a little bit, or you can put him in Siege Rhino range. But it looks like somebody has removal spell. It's a Devouring Light. Okay, that changes everything.
That's a really big tempo swing there for Harry.
Corvese keeping his head above water, staying above 3, which is important in this game. Veliz is going to tick up his Elspeth, it looks like. So he's got 3 soldiers coming. And it looks like he might be a little bit behind in this game now outside of life totals. Though that Hostility is on the top of his deck, is going to make things a little bit interesting.
On top of that, Harry can't really push that hard if he goes ahead and makes an emblem here because he has to get worried about getting killed on the way back.
Yeah.
Jordon still has 7 creatures in play. Even if Harry says, okay, well, I'll make an emblem, I'll send 2 of them at the Elspeth, leave 3 back on defense, he's in a really precarious spot.
He presses a 0 button on Chandra. The top card is a mountain. He's just going to put that directly into play. Banishing Light off the top will take care of the Elspeth. Timely draw. Sarkin. It's going to go up. It's an attack here for 4. Elspeth's going to tick up to 8. So 3 more soldiers. And all of a sudden, Harry Corvese with his powerful planeswalkers is turning the corner. Top card is a Bile Blight. The draw was, of course, End Hostility, as we know about Anafenza. So Corvese working with perfect information due to the Courser.
And I think Jordon here just needs to make an attack and cast End Hostilities. I don't think he can allow Harry to go into the next turn and make an emblem and keep Elspeth in play. You know, he can also play the Anafenza post-combat, even after a sweeper, which is not great, but at least forces some sort of action.
Yeah, I think the problem here with End Hostilities, if I'm in Jordon's spot, is, okay, I mean, I can cast that, but I'm leaving my opponent with 3 planeswalkers. But, I mean, can I win the game any other way? Can I win the game at all?
Sure. I mean, if Harry just runs a bunch of blocks here, then I guess you can just cast the Anafenza and say go, and try to squeeze a little bit more out of the End Hostilities.
It looks like Harry's going to block everything. He's easily going to trade with a bunch of soldier tokens. That much we know. Looks like he's blocking Courser as well because he does not want to go beneath 3.
So yeah, in light of Harry blocking like this, I think that just casting the Anafenza is the thing to do. I guess he can just say go, and under the presumption that he'll have to end hostilities next turn, and he can leave the Anafenza as backup.
Looks like he's reaching for mana to actually cast Anafenza here. So there is the 4/4.
Though keep in mind this puts pressure on Harry in a different way because he can't plus the Elspeth and leave blockers back on defense because there's a Bile Blight on top of the deck.
Yep.
And Sarkin's not in a position right now to shoot and finish the Anafenza. There's not enough loyalty.
So it looks like somebody needs a little help from Chandra, huh?
Well, Harry can just make an emblem with Elspeth and say go, but that's really bad.
That's not great. Now, of course, all these assumptions that we're making, we're not entirely sure what Corvese actually drew for the turn. So he's going to shoot 1 and 1. A little telling there.
May have picked up a lightning strike.
Perhaps. Reaching for mana to cast a lightning strike. Excellent read, Mr. Sullivan. So that'll get him out of that tricky situation.
But Harry's in the spot where he'll have to make enormous concessions to the board to be able to keep himself above 3. And he's still got a ways to go before he can kill Jordon.
Gonna make 3 soldier tokens. I mean, he's walking a tightrope.
Yep.
No other way to put it. Now, Bioblight's the draw. Let's see what the top card is. That's a Llanowar Waste. That's going to come into play. Jordan's going to go up to 32 from the Quarter trigger. Let's see what the top card is now. It's a Plains. If you're Harry.
Sigh of relief.
Yeah. That's not a Siege Rhino. Because a world does exist now, right, where Harry has no cards. You just say, okay, Bioblight the tokens, put you to 2.
Yep.
And then just try to delay the game as long as I can until I draw a copy of Siege Rhino.
Which is what I think Jordon should consider doing here.
Well, he's pulling his mana.
There's also a Siege Rhino in the graveyard, and he has 1 Whip of Erebos in his deck as well.
True.
So he turns that into a kill.
So essentially 4 Siege Rhinos now
Yeah.
are available. Bioblight's going to take care of the tokens. He'll get in for 2. Corvese's in Siege Rhino range. We'll see if he can dodge it as we do keep going.
And Harry's still got several turns to go before he's putting together lethal on his side.
Now, Elspeth does have a way of closing games out. Let's see what this is going to be. It's a Magma Jet. Or Scrying. Interesting.
I guess he's Magma Jetting the Courser because he can 0 the Chandra if he finds another Magma Jet and finish it off that way.
He's going to press a 0 button now. Don't have a great look at the card. Looks like it's probably some sort of elimination spell, though. Yep, Faded Conflagration. He'll get the Scry now, too, since it's his turn. Plains on top, so we know that's what Veliz is drawing. The card in his hand right now, again, is in Hostilities, though Corvese does not. Actually, no, Corvese does know that.
Yep.
Of course. Yep.
And then Hostility is not helping Jordon out a lot here.
Mm-hmm. Looks like a card or 2 is going to stay on top. All this scrying is done. That's Red's form of card advantage as Sarkhan's going to tick up. It's in for 4. Veliz is down to 28. Hasn't used Elspeth just yet. This might be the first time we've seen Elspeth on double digits here.
Might be a record.
Yeah.
I have not seen this before, to my knowledge.
But that is what the game has dictated, is there is the Plains. And Hostilities will be cast.
Sure, I like this play from Jordon, too. It's not going to get better than this. And you want Harry to not make an emblem next turn and hit you for 9 extra points of damage.
You just want to buy as much time as possible.
So if you set him back another turn.
And he's making an emblem right now. And he says, how about 6 instead of 4? Puts you to 22. I need to get this game over with. Corvese reaching. Perhaps a backup Elspeth? I don't believe he's used Chandra yet. He's going to say ting you, put you to 21. 3, 4, 5, 6. Elspeth, yes. 3 soldiers. He's working to get this thing over with now.
And now next turn, he can also try to ultimate Chandra, find a burn spell.
How'd we do? 2, 3, and 4.
Oh, yeah.
That's the whip.
It would be one thing. This is just perfect. It would be one thing if it was just a Siege Rhino. The fact that it's a whip is just... Oh, excuse me. The Rhino was exiled to chain the rock. Excuse me.
No.
I just assumed it ate a removal spell
I
somewhere
did
on the down the
too.
line. Yeah.
And the way that he cast it, he thought it was game just like we did.
Yep.
There's a wingmate rock.
Oh,
Okay,
sure.
well, that's going to do it then.
That's so
fair
good.
enough. Jordon Veliz going to win game number 1 here over Harry Corvese.
Well, actually,
Is he not?
Harry has an emblem from the Elspeth last turn. He has blockers. I don't think he knows he has
no.
blockers. Because he played an Elspeth, made an emblem,
Oh,
played the
no.
Elspeth after the fact. They were eligible blockers.
I don't think he knows either. Oh, no.
Which makes it even better that the Siege Rhino was in the graveyard.
Oh, no.
Because then Harry gets to go back to the replay.
That is a tough loss to take right there. Not realizing he has the emblem in play.
Yeah.
I think he realizes it now, though.
I don't think so. Because you would see Harry punch the table if he realized what happened. I think he's just saying, I can't believe that was Whip of Erebos there. I think that's what happened.
Yeah, I think so. Either way, Jordon Veliz is up a game here over Harry Corvese. I was on mid-range, up a game over red-white control. We'll take a look at the sideboards here. Veliz is who we'll go to in a minute. Let's see what the red-white board has.
2 Waymate Rocks, 3 End Hostilities, 3 Anger of the Gods, 4 Nyx Fleece where I am, 2 copies of Stormbreath Dragon, and 1 copy of Fated Conflagration. I think the extra... the sweepers are not very good in this matchup, I think. Maybe he wants End Hostilities, but Jordon also has a Planeswalker element to his deck, and he's seen Whip of Erebos, so putting things in the graveyard is not great. Are we looking at just Stormbreath Dragon, Waymate Rock, and Fated Conflagration?
Probably. I do like additional copies of the removal spell, but I think he's so heavy on removal already. I don't know if he wants... That's really tough to say. He's got a lot of removal in his deck.
Yeah, it's so much of this, oddly enough, so much of this sideboard feels anti-beatdown when it feels like that's already where Harry would have a pretty big edge. It doesn't feel like he has a lot to bring to the table in this matchup.
2 Thoughtseize, 3 Drown in Sorrow, 2 Pharika, God of Affliction, a Reprisal, a Glare of Heresy, 2 Erase, a Dune Blast, 2 Murderous Cuts, and a copy of Liliana Vess. I like Liliana a lot in this matchup, actually, because I think the games are going to go like this quite a bit, so you can get quite a bit of an advantage from that. And Pharika is actually very interesting. It lets you just continue to grind him down. Just, we mentioned the approach of, you make a Sorin and make a Vampire. You have to deal with both of those things. Well, Pharika is just going to keep making more creatures that you've already dealt with.
I think that Pharika is borderline. The cards that I like a lot in this matchup, the Glare of Heresy, because you've seen Bramaz, Chain of the Rocks, and Elspeth, so good removal spell there. I think the Thoughtseizes are good for this matchup, even though Harry has a little bit of a haste and burn element to his deck. I think that there's going to be so many hands where he just has reactive cards and a Planeswalker. You take the Planeswalker, play around his reactive stuff, and it's hard for him to get much going.
We will take a look at very quickly here. Actually, I think our players are underway here, oddly enough. So they just shuffle pretty quickly. We're going to take a look at our 2015 Open Series schedule very quickly. We'll see here Richmond, Columbus, New Jersey, and Seattle for our invitationals.
Same set of dates, essentially, except instead of having one in Charlotte, we moved it up north a little bit to Richmond.
That's it. Easy changes. So
Columbus, New Jersey, Seattle, Season 2, Season 3, Season 4. Just like this year.
Game number 2 underway here between Corvese and Veliz. In just a moment, it looks like Jordon will be taking a mulligan. Now, the tough thing here for Harry is that he's got about 17 minutes to win 2 games. His deck does not win quickly.
It's true. And if anything, Jordon is boarding into more reactive stuff. He can protect himself a little bit better. This is why it's very important when you do things like make an Elspeth emblem, let's say, get an emblem or a marker out or something. It's very easy to lose sight.
Yeah, he started to pick up his pace of play a little bit in that situation, and because he was picking it up, I think he just didn't realize that he did have flying blockers there, and the Waymate Rock was not going to be lethal, because I actually thought it was lethal too there for a moment.
Well, it's also very easy to look at the board and say, I have an Elspeth in play, I just made 3 tokens, that's what's up.
Yep.
And not realize that there was a second Elspeth cast.
There's a Temple of Triumph, and now you can see Corvese is going to pick up his pace of play quite a bit because he knows he's got to get moving. A Sandstep Citadel there for Veliz. Both players starting up with enters the battlefield tapped lands. A mountain here for Corvese. Veliz with just a plane. So both players are really accelerating their pace of play here as there's a Bramaz. So Harry will try to get it done with an aggressive approach. And no third land. Well then. That'll change the dynamic of things quite a bit.
Yep.
Battlefield Forge, attack, get you for 4, put you to 16. And Corvese can play, a game where he just says, kill every creature that you play. His deck is very capable of that. Now, there's a black source for the Hero's Downfall there for Jordon, so that's a really, really big draw.
And it looks like Jordon has kept in his End Hostilities too as well, even though there really aren't that many creatures in Harry's list. Only the 6. Plus, I suppose he could have boarded in his extra Stormbreath Dragons or his Waymate Rocks.
Gonna pass the turn back. Corvese will draw a card. You see he's got a mountain in his hand. Hero's Downfall is going to take care of Bramaz before it gets to attack. The token will come in, deal 1 point of damage, and now Waymate Rock.
And these are out of the board for Harry.
You can certainly change the dynamic of a game after sideboard. My goodness. Now, you mentioned hostility still being in the deck. That's a pretty big deal, actually, in this situation.
Well, I don't know if Jordan's going to get the kind of time he needs.
I don't know if he's going to either.
He's taking a lot, and I think there's Sarkin and Stormbreath Dragon left over in Harry's hand.
Oh, yeah, he's closing this game out really quick. That's going to come in. We'll see if this does resolve. It's going to be a Hero's Downfall in response before it does get to be indestructible. So 3, 6, 7 points of damage. Veliz is down to 8.
You can see both these players at 5-0. This is a great start, but we're not even halfway home.
Yeah, not even close.
So as good of an opening this is for both of these players, you know, you got to be worried about the clock here. You really want to get this win.
Corvese will gain a little bit of life from the Wingmate Rock attack, so both players making sure the life totals are correct here. Making sure damage is correct, but from what we've seen, Jordon should be at 8 here. We saw Permaz attack for 4. The token get in for 1, so that's 5. This is an attack for 7. 7 and 5 is 12. 20 minus 12. That's 8.
That is 8.
That's 8.
It looks like we've got everything clear.
I got out of high school. Veliz draw a card. Sylvan Carry added. A little late to the party. So now we will draw. Corvese. There's Stormfest Dragon. Well, this one's over. He tied it up pretty fast. I mean, he needed to, and he did.
Yep. Jordan with no resistance, and Harry with a much more aggressive deck post-board. Wouldn't surprise me if he's cut a lot of his marginal removal, things like Lightning Strikes and Magma Jets, to make room for more threats.
And he's not even going back to the sideboard here at all. You can see he is shuffling up, and he is getting ready for game number 3. Going to pile shuffle here and riffle and get ready to go. Jordan, I think, take a look at his sideboard. He's not going to change anything either. So game number 3 is going to be underway here very quickly. Both players realizing just how important the time is.
Yeah, 13 minutes left in the round. You saw a really aggressive draw there from Harry, but I think that's a bit of an aberration. Most of the time, the game's going to slow down a little bit, and neither of these players looking for a draw right now.
It looks like we've got about, when this game starts, about 12 minutes left to go. Veliz will be on the play here. So he got crushed pretty badly that game. Some mana issues, and truth be told, I mean, Harry just has a very good draw that game.
Yep. Jordan's second mulligan of the match also.
Yeah, that's true. He's kind of a hybrid in between a Abzan aggressive and Abzan mid-range deck. He's got some kind of weird things going on. The Anafenza is really what stands out.
Exactly. Anafenza without 2 drops that can attack is something I have not seen before.
Well, time to lay it out. Again, Jordon will be on the play. We'll see what he can cobble together. He's got a Tri-Land, also a copy of Mana Confluence in hand. Siege Rhino 2? Yeah, it looks like a keeper to me. He's going to play Sandsep Citadel to get game number 3 underway. Looks like he has an Erase in his hand as well.
Bring in to try to fight the Chain of the Rocks they saw.
I would think Corvese keeps those in after board, the chains.
I would imagine against the Siege Rhino deck.
Ah, this is his 3rd land again. Magma Jet. Down to 18. Gonna try to smooth it out. Both gonna go to the bottom. Corvese will draw a card. You see the Elspeth he's got in his hand. Does he have Brahmaz again for turn number 3? There's Battlefield Forge. The answer is no. Veliz will draw a card. Courser's what he's found.
I think he's going to be moving to discard momentarily.
They brought Anafenza forward for a moment. Wow, whoa. Must have a pretty good hand.
Yep.
He's discarding Siege Rhino. Yeah. Now Corvese misses a land drop. And discard a Courser, pass it back.
Things were looking really bleak for Jordan here, but Harry looks to be in a similar spot.
Discarded, wow. Discarded Chandra, aha! Somebody found a land finally. It's a Llanowar Waste. And 3 mana. There is the Courser. Top card here. It's a Plains.
All right, Jordan's getting a little something going now.
Corvese will draw a card. Did not look like a land to me. Chain of the Rocks. Take care of the Courser. Plains will be the draw. But the race is on now.
I'm looking for
Now, Veliz does have another copy of Siege Rhino in his hand.
Also, keep in mind, he has that erase too. He can just break that Chain of the Rocks at a moment's notice.
I'm also looking for John Hobbs.
We're very clear on what's tapping for what, as he does deploy actually a Sorin, not a Siege Rhino.
Okay.
So, there's token, pass turn back. Corvese draws a card. Does not look to be a land. I think that would have been on. I think that would have been in play already. Let's see what this is going to be. A little unsure of himself at this point.
Could be something like Banishing Light. But you got to be really worried now if you're Harry here, because Jordon is crawling out.
He's got Devouring Light in his hand. There is Banishing Light. Yeah, so the erase is going to be good no matter what it targets.
Yeah.
Draw a card. Copy of Abzan Charm. It looks like we are going to cast erase, yeah. People wondering if this card can see main deck play. Wouldn't surprise me.
Definitely good against Chain of the Rock, Banishing Light control deck guy. That's for sure.
That's for sure. Attack for 2 in the air. See Sorin make another vampire. Now there's Anafenza. At least he'll have to take some damage to cast it. He doesn't care about that.
And unfortunately, Harry's deck is very much a, you know, one spell a turn sort of deal.
Oh, yeah.
So when he falls behind the board like this, it's pretty challenging for him to catch up.
This is much like your big red decks of the world.
Exactly.
Even though that's kind of crazy. We haven't seen big red deck in a little while.
It's true. There's no sweepers in this list except for End Hostilities in the sideboard, which, I mean, if he's leaving in his Bermazes and his bringing in Waymate Rods, I'm not saying there's no chance he has End Hostilities. I would just be surprised.
Also, don't forget, he didn't go back to the drawing board for game 3. He just started shuffling immediately.
Yeah.
So they would have had to have been in there for game number 2. And the way that game 3 broke with all those creatures, I'd be surprised if it had hostilities too. Plains the draw for Veliz. He's going to tick up his Sorin. It's attack step time. Something's getting +1/+1. It'll be a vampire token. So this is an attack for a whole lot of damage here. Corvese is going to play a Devouring Light. He'll have to take 1 to do so to get rid of Anafenza. So this attack here is going to deal 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 points of damage. Doesn't look as though Corvese has a card like Magma Spray, so away goes his life total. Veliz will gain a little bit of life as we're about 7 minutes left in this match of round 6 here from Columbus. A Siege Rhino. Hello.
Still good.
After all this time. There's a Plains. Oh, well, it does make a little more sense why Jordon was willing to discard a Siege Rhino. He has another one in his hand, too. So I think at that point he may have had 3 Siege Rhinos, and that is going to do it. Jordon Veliz is going to win this match over Harry Corvese. 2-1. Abzan midrange will take down red-white control. It's not the exact version that we've seen from Ari Lax.